I love you, girl, what you thinkers. Hello, welcome to episode 18. 18, I always thought was one of the most beautiful numbers, actually, now that we're here.
Why?
I feel like I have that one, have you ever taken psychology?
Mm-hmm.
There's this one, I don't even know what you would call it, this one thing that people have. It's like when you put colors or genders or something to numbers and, or like certain designs, and you like visualize things and correlate them to numbers. I do that. I've always like put gender to numbers.
Honestly, I could see that. 18's a woman, huh?
Yeah, 18's a woman,
Yep.
but 7's a man.
17's a man.
See what I mean?
Oh, that's so weird though. And I honestly, I feel like if you asked anybody else, like I feel like that's something you'd see on Twitter. Like if someone tweeted like 18's for sure a girl, and 17's
then I've
a
seen
man.
that. I've seen people like, I always thought that I was just like,
right.
I never thought twice about it. And then someone's like, oh, 9 is a guy or 9's a girl. It's like, no. And then
even numbers are women. Odd numbers are men.
Well, that's interesting.
I think so.
Wait.
That's how I think. Like 2, 4, 6, those are all ladies.
15's
you know
a
what
little
I feel
androgynous?
like? Because
15's a little fluid?
Because 2, 4, and 6 I feel like are softer.
2 is more
and then like
masculine.
3, 5, 7. Like that's like men.
Those are pretty hardcore.
Right?
3 is like nerdy girl, like Velma. Like she's 3. Or Codename Kids Next Door. You know how there were 5 of them and they all had their gender and their little look? 3 was a girl. But 3,
I don't
the number alone doesn't really resonate as a... Well, if it's a girl, it's like a librarian. But if it's like... if 3 was a...
Today's episode is about women and men and what numbers they would be.
Yes. Or fluidity, or, you never know.
That's so funny, though, that you said that.
That is so funny.
I was like, no, I get
18's, okay, well, now this is episode 18. This is our woman episode. Let's do that before every episode number. We'll be like, is this number male or female? It's not healthy. Okay. Anyway, Jesus.
18's going to be in 2 parts.
And this
18 is part uno and part dos.
Should we just do like episode 18 is... We'll talk about it later. So, welcome to this podcast. We're going to be talking about love and the big blanket that love is. Love in the time of COVID. Love in the time
That's a TV show.
Yeah, I saw that. And I'm like, what the hell is this about, girl? Because you don't know fucking shit about our struggle. HBO Max, whatever it is.
It's on the ABC Family.
I love ABC Family shows.
Or Freeform, whatever. Okay,
so me and Hannah have been driving around once, and Hannah asked me this question of, do you think you could fall in love with somebody, be in love with somebody, and not have them love you back? And that kind of snowballed into the idea of like, well, how do you define love? Like, what is the difference between loving your dog or loving a book or loving your mom? I like how mom is third to loving your dog when describing love. But
my eyes are popping today.
Your eyes are awake and ready. I look tired. I feel like I'm looking more and more tired with this COVID thing. But love, I think people are sometimes scared to say love. The L word. It's like we don't really know how to define. And people are like, I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos about, well, not a lot. I recently watched one, and this guy's like, you're not in love.
I've been watching so many. I only watched
You're dating a clown. He's a dog. You're not in love. You're fooling yourself. And I'd like to talk more about that. Because I wrote a little thing on my card. I say, okay, hopefully this will jumpstart us in to defining love. And then once we...
Yeah, but I already said something I disagreed with you on. You didn't hear me?
I heard you. But I don't like to hear people saying they don't agree with me. What do you not agree with me on? Hannah.
Well, just for all the regular listeners, I know I'm not in my normal spot. This is my mom's office. Welcome to 5th grade, America. Books. But it's just because I don't have a desk in my room and it's late. I just got off work and I didn't feel like moving my whole ass bed to set up my table just so I could have my bookshelf in my room in the background. It's not important. So that's why I'm in a different area.
All right. What do you disagree on then?
Well, you said people are scared to say love, and I think they overuse it. I think people throw that out for everybody. Like, oh, I love you. It's like, you don't even know me. How can you love me? I don't think it means anything a lot of times when you say you love someone. Because I think people just willy-nilly throw it around. Like, oh my God, I love that. Do you? You've had it once or you've done it once.
Okay, so
how do you know? I do too.
What's the feelings of love then? What do you think is when it's used right? Or do you think that that's what love is? Is it's a loose thing?
Well,
what is it that we're really trying to say when we say romantically? And then what comes after that?
Well, I think there's a difference between telling somebody I love you and telling somebody I'm in love with you.
What's that difference?
Because I love you. Like, I love you. I know I do. You're my best friend and I want to spend as much time with you as possible.
I love you too. But in love.
That's it. That's the end of the episode.
Today we're going to talk about love. Hannah, I love you. Merry Christmas.
But I think
we end it.
But I think if you say you're in love with somebody, I think that's stronger. It's like a stronger feeling, I think.
Do you think someone could love each other quickly? Or do you think love is an over time thing and that's when you're supposed to use it? Because if it's like willy-nilly, it doesn't mean
I think it depends. I think that also goes back into how you define love. Because if some people like I guess like when I first met you, like I wasn't like, oh, I love this girl. Like I was like, oh, like she's really cool and I like her and I want to like find out more about her and like hang out with her.
Thank you.
But like right off the bat, I wasn't like, oh, I love this person, you know? But like,
it really took some time.
Right. Like over time, like the more you talk, the more you get to know somebody. Like I think personally, if it goes too fast, then it's kind of like, it's not necessarily love, it's like infatuation.
Mm-hmm. Or lust.
I think if you're like romantically, I think if you say like, oh, I love you, or I still think saying I love you versus I'm in love with you is different. But like if you are at either of those stages with your romantic partner, I think that takes some time. It doesn't have to, it's not like it's like, oh, that's like years or like 8 months or something. Like it could be like 1 or 2 months, but it just depends on how much you communicate with that person. And it doesn't even have to be spending time with them. Like I think people who do like long distance relationships or like meet online, like if they talk all the time and they know everything about each other, like they don't even have to have met in person for them to be in love.
I feel like from what you're saying, I hear that there's 2 kinds of loves that are the most prominent in the way we use it in our common language. We have one love that's based on feeling. Like that's more of a quick infatuated or a loose one. It's like I feel happy when I'm around this thing. That's like a feeling love. But then there's a time love. Time equals love. You've built like it's just time.
You built a relationship and you built trust and you built a way of communicating with them. And
yeah, it's like love with the feeling is like I'm happy when I'm with this thing. But love with time is like I have been happy and unhappy and tired and all the emotions that a person can feel with this person, and I still enjoy being with them and can trust them. And that's like a time love and a deep love. And
I think that is the difference between love and in love. I think
in love is feeling and I love you is time.
Other way.
Because the way
in love, I think in love is
time.
Yeah, because it's like I'm in it. Like I'm in it for the long haul. Like no matter, like, yeah, there's gonna be bad times, there's gonna be good times, but like I'm in love with you and I want to stay with you and I want to be with you. But like I don't know why I feel like that. I just think there's a difference of like if someone were to say to me like somebody that I liked or whatever, if they were to say like, oh, I love you, like I would be like, oh, okay, like fine. But like
not even go, I mean, you may say I love you back.
Right.
Because you can feel that way.
But if someone were to say like, oh, I'm in love with you, like to me that's like, oh, really?
That takes a lot.
I don't know why. I don't know why the difference. It's literally one word. It's in.
Where do you see yourself being when, if let's say it like someone's telling you I'm in love with you? What environment are you in? Because I see myself in an environment. I'm in love with you. I'm either in a car and it's raining outside, or I'm in like I'm in love with you. I'm in love with you. We're like,
I'm on the couch and we're watching a movie and we're not talking, and then they're like, I'm in love with you. And I'd be like,
it's always like a little unexpected time. Like you're getting a pastry
because
together.
Like obviously on the daily you're not gonna be like, when you're on the phone you're like, okay, bye, I'm in love with you. Like, okay, obviously not that.
Yeah.
Like you would just be like, okay, bye, I love you, like see you later, whatever.
I feel water around. Like there's got to be some type of water.
You're at the beach, you're on a boat.
In a beach, raining. And that's what I
do love rain.
Someone's like gonna tell me they're in love with me when there's water around.
But it doesn't even just like thinking about that, like, because but rewind. When you first thought about it, you thought like, oh, I picture myself being somewhere when someone tells me they're in love with me, but you don't picture yourself somewhere specific when someone tells you like, oh, I love you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that could be anything.
It's just wherever. Like I say that to my mom when I'm on the phone with her, like I say that to you, like, but like
I'm in love with you is like a cinematic or like a passionate thing to say to somebody.
I just feel like it's deeper
than saying, oh, I love you, I love that, I love when you do this, I love that. I'm in love with you. You're like, whoa.
Right.
We're gonna have to end things.
I just feel it. Like,
just kidding.
I just like feel the not
it's
severity.
How language has so much power in that way.
Right. It's not the severity, it's like the strength, I guess, of like you saying that versus like, oh, I love you.
The word in.
Like the power, like I'm in love with you. Like if someone were to say that to me, I'd be like, okay, like
you are? I'd be like, you are? Why?
Especially if I was in love with him too.
Yeah, that's the ultimate. And it's like, how do you trust somebody loves you? How do you believe?
I feel like until whoever my boyfriend is.
If you're out there.
My coworker the other day, side note, she was like, I'm going to go to Albertsons. I work down the street from an Albertsons, or next to an Albertsons. And she was on her break. She's like, I'm going to go to Albertsons. Do you need anything? I'm like, yeah, like, find me a boyfriend. She's like, oh, okay, I'll look in the aisles for you. And then she came back and she's like, yeah, I couldn't find one. I'm so sorry.
They're all out of pumpkins.
And I was like, it's okay, girl. Any hoodles.
Albertsons, I love their deli.
Their potato salad.
Bruh, you could go to lunch at an Albertsons.
Yeah, you could.
Or a Vons.
Sponsor us. Anywho, like if my boyfriend or not my girlfriend, my boyfriend were to say, like, just out of the blue, like we're not even talking about that or anything at all. And then they just like look at me and they're like, I'm in love with you. Like, or I'm really in love with you, or whatever. Mm-hmm. Whatever other adjectives they want to add in front of
I'm really in love with you.
Right?
That makes me a little skeptical.
Why? I mean, you can never know. You never will know. You're never gonna know.
They'll never know.
They'll never know. They're gonna know.
How will they know?
They're gonna know. TikTok for the win.
Can I read out loud what I wrote? No. I was watching this video and it was really scary. Well, I'm gonna do it anyway. I wrote this today. This is on my own thoughts. I said,
wait, this is your own thoughts or it's not?
This is my own thoughts. Can you believe it? I said, I see so many people having to define love to sell their book on YouTube and stuff. Like, people give their love advice and then link their book or their product below. Or, you're not in love, you're in a shitty marriage, he's a dog, and I'll tell you more about it if you click the link below. And then it's their therapy page. So that's interesting. And so in that video that I was watching, he was like, there's 4 types of love that you think are love, but they're not love. And one of them was called like a trauma bond, where you both are like in a trauma in your own lives and then you come together.
Like, we're in a trauma bond.
We're in a trauma bond, and is that wrong? Like, why do people shame people? And then he was like, and another thing is a demonic power called a soul tie, where your souls are tied together and you feel like everything's okay, and they're manipulating you and steering your life. And you don't know.
Who is this?
Demonic. He's demonic. And
that's his name?
He's like, he needs... No. His name's like Pastor something. I don't remember. That's really going to narrow it down. Pastor. I said, if there's enough people making these mistakes to keep a counselor, author, or therapist paid, then isn't that is fucking good. I feel so dumb right now. I'm gonna edit this.
Do you mean to say if
a counselor, author, or therapist can like support themselves with people's mistakes in love by selling a book, enough people are seeking out that advice and sharing that same mistake, then maybe it's not a mistake and that's just the way humans love. And it's just like money has corrupted the way that we naturally form relationships with each other, because maybe the Bible or the way society is structured is saying that it's like, maybe you shouldn't love somebody in this way. That, like, if he doesn't have a job, if he's either paying for you, I don't know, just these videos are so sending so many signals. It's like, who do I love then? It's like, if you're lonely, you're not ready to date somebody. Bitch, what the fuck is dating for then? It's like, you need to be able... Being alone is the worst time to date somebody. When is the right time to date somebody? Do I have to date a robot?
With somebody to date somebody else?
To feel fulfilled. Like, have your own identity and your own individualism. Like,
okay, I get that. Yeah. I get that. I feel like...
How do you differentiate between...
You can't tell somebody they're not in love with somebody else. You can't.
Right.
Like, whoever that is dumb. Like, you can't... That's like, you can't tell someone that their broken arm doesn't hurt just because when you had a broken arm, it didn't really hurt that much.
Mm-hmm. Like you were saying, like, our therapist was like, get into your feelings. Like, you're not lying to yourself. That's just how you feel.
Right. And it's not wrong to feel. Your feelings are never wrong. Like,
Every
those are just your
human
feelings.
wants to feel loved, wants to be loved, wants to feel
Right.
desired and adored.
Right. And do some people get into toxic relationships or abusive relationships? Yeah. But
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't mean that at one point they weren't in love with that person, or that they might even still be, even though that person is abusive or anything. But like, you can't tell somebody, you can't say like, no, you're not in love with them, like, because you both you both bonded because you had a similar experience in your past. Like, so what are you supposed to talk about? What, that's like me being like, no, you can't be in love with them because you both like cheese a lot.
Exactly.
And
You're
like,
trauma
that's how
bound.
your relationship formed. Cheese love? No, that is not real. You only like each other because you want to eat the same things.
If both of your fathers left and you bonded over that, it's a toxic relationship. I don't believe that shit at all.
No.
It's like women fall in love with these men who hurt them because their fathers weren't present and they need to find God to be their father. Okay. Okay.
No,
I
ma'am.
think it's also as simple as humans just want to be loved by somebody. And every relationship is so complex and different. Like, nobody has a perfect relationship. And guess what?
And
Let's say
if you think they do, you're wrong, or they're lying to you.
so let's say our listener is in a relationship where they are I don't know what to say. This idea that you have to be in this perfect relationship or else what? Like you're going to waste your life? Is that the fear? Like what's the fear of being in an unhealthy relationship? Why are we so tiptoey around it?
Uh, Probably because it's like, okay, I just spent these past 4 years in this relationship that didn't go anywhere, because majority of people's life projection is find somebody, get married, have children, have grandchildren,
Die.
die. That's how majority of people's life does go.
I feel like
And so if they feel like I'm 24 and or I met this person when I was 24 and now I'm 28 and they don't even I freaking can't stand them anymore and I don't even like them, like now I'm almost out of my good childbearing years and what the fuck am I going to do now? Like I just
mm-hmm.
wasted 4 years on this person. But it's like, I mean,
It's
like I get
okay.
that. I get that, but then that's like saying like I don't have a job after college, like I just wasted 4 years in college. Like no, I learned a lot going to college. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you learned a lot being in that relationship with that person. Like yeah, it didn't work out, but like that doesn't mean you wasted your time. Because it's not like you were unhappy the entire time. Like you would not, like if it was 4 years or whatever, like you wouldn't have stayed if you were unhappy the whole time unless like something is wrong with you.
A lot of the comments on those love videos are like, ugh, like, I wish I would have known this when I was in that relationship for 17 years, or where was this 4 years ago when I was with this person, or I needed to find my own worth, like, I'm a queen. Is that realistic? Is someone going to, like, just be the perfect, amazing
Here's what I think, kind of going back
situation?
to what you said in the beginning a little bit, or not the beginning, but like the beginning of this, talking about this video, like talking about profiting off like people's love, mistakes in love.
People's feelings, the inconsistency of our emotions is being
I
profited off of.
think, I mean, obviously, therapists aren't just for like marital or relationship problems.
Mm.
So I'm sure they would still have jobs, but I think if everybody knew how to communicate well on their own and then also well with the person they're in a relationship with, I think a lot of those issues would be solved. I think communication is a big thing, and I think that's a big reason for a lot of problems in relationships. People don't people don't like to admit fault. So they're never going to take a mirror and be like, "You know what? I screwed up. I shouldn't have done that." Or you know what, I shouldn't have said it that way, or I should have asked before I did this, or whatever it is. They don't want to be, they don't, self-reflection, majority of people don't like that, because usually when you're self-reflecting, it's reflecting on something you did wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't like that. They don't want to be wrong, because it doesn't feel good to be wrong. Like when someone tells you you're wrong, you're like, you mean no?
Yeah.
So it doesn't feel good. So people don't like to talk about, people don't apologize. They'll be like, no, you need to apologize. You did this, this, and this, and that hurt my feelings. And then that person's like, well, you did this, this, and this, and you hurt my feelings. So then they're at a standstill and they're like, screw you, bye. You know? It's like, if they would have just talked it out, it might have continued. Like, I mean, if you fall out of love with somebody and you just are like, you know what, I just don't feel the same way, okay, move on. But if like your relationship is ending because they did something that hurt your feelings, and either you didn't tell them and you just broke it off, or like the way you communicated about it wasn't the correct way, then that's on you. Like, I feel like, I truly feel like communication is key. Like, you have to know how to communicate on your own, but then also with the person you're with, because everybody has different communication styles.
Mm-hmm.
So the way I communicate with you isn't necessarily the same way I communicate with my friend Kelly or Allison or Guam or whoever, you know, like we all have different ways of communicating. And like, if I was in a relationship, I'd have to learn, you have to learn their communication styles. Like you not only have to learn like who they are as a human, like their likes and dislikes and pet peeves and all that stuff, but you have to learn how to function with them, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like communication is a big thing.
Part of keeping a consistent love. And do you see yourself like wanting a long-term love like that? Like for the rest of your life? Is that something that you think is either realistic or something that you desire? Like, is it romantic to you, that thought?
To an extent. Um,
But I think really being there would be like, it's like a whole nother
I don't
job.
know. I don't know how me like 40 years down the line waking up next to the same person, like, do I truly want that? I mean,
Yeah, it'd be nice to have someone know you for
yeah,
40 years. That sounds like deep ass love right there,
but like if it's love,
if it's
because
love.
some people stay married just to say, oh, I've been married for 30 years, but it's like, oh, we sleep in separate bedrooms and I don't talk to them.
But love is so hard to maintain in like water. That term of like when you water a plant to help it grow. I guess nurture. That's the word I was trying to say. But I said
Oh,
watered
I was like,
instead.
water.
To nurture. I think
Yeah,
um a
I
lot of
think that's
people get
why.
lazy nowadays. We're lazier. We're more like our instant desires and fantasies are more easily, it's easier to keep it a
Attained.
secret,
Oh,
contained, and it's like like you can go to a website, you can just text somebody and delete the text. Like our fantasies and things that would not be okay to a married couple a few years ago is now like easier to keep under wraps or easier to like just stray away from a person.
I think that's why, for me personally, whoever I end up with, I really want to be their friend first.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think those are the like longer lasting relationships in my point of view, because it's like if I was um lesbian, a
Mm-hmm.
lesbian, I would, and you were also a lesbian, I would want to date you, because it's like you're already somebody I want to spend basically all my time with.
And we do and we can, but we just don't show
Right.
that like intimacy.
Right. So I think if you get that core bit, like that core like
Trust.
I want to spend all my time with you because I really like you, and like we flow and we work well together, and we think we have similar values, and we think
Are you
things, but we're also
proposing to
not
me?
maybe. But we're also like not afraid to disagree on things, but we do it in a civil way.
Right.
That seems like a good relationship to me. And then you just
we communicate so well and
are
so much
romantic with each other.
that we decided to start a podcast. Maybe try to start a podcast with your partner. And if you don't,
and if it doesn't
they
work,
don't love you.
No,
They can't communicate.
Get out of there.
Some people don't like to communicate. Some people are like, I'm going to work. They come home, I'm hungry. And they go to sleep. And some women are like, I love Bill.
Ew.
Hey, I just am such a firm believer in everyone has the relationship that works for them. If it's legal.
Yeah, that would not for me. I'd be like, get out of here, Bill. Get out.
And then Tammy down the street will pick up Bill. And then they'll go to the grocery store together.
I'm going to go switch with Tammy's husband.
And buy
Tammy's
Doritos for the week.
Go and hang out and play games. Yeah, I think for me, if I'm gonna be in a really long-term relationship, they need to be my best friend. Like they have to.
Yeah, and they become your best friend. And they especially like
I personally would rather start off with them being my best friend and then
bring romance into it.
Too. Yeah. Or at least not even necessarily my best friend, but like I have to know them pretty well. I think.
And I don't think that doesn't mean that you can't have a successful relationship without having that. I think you have your preference. Because I know someone who, like, would just sleep with their partner in the beginning, no emotional connection, and then have that build over time.
Yeah.
Nobody I've talked to who's been in a long-term relationship has had an entirely good summary of the relationship. It's never been like, oh yeah, we're happy, we've never had anything wrong. Or it's usually like if I'm like girl, like what's going on? Like, oh, he pissed me off the other day, like blah blah blah. Like it's always something negative to comment on.
That has pretty much said they've never really fought or anything, and I mean they've been together like
I think it's possible. I'm
a
just
little
saying,
over a year.
I think
they started off as like friends. Like they think the same, they act the same, like they have the same views. Like I think that's kind of where they like how they kind of got over that like hump of like, oh, you piss me off when you do this or whatever. Like then that's not to say that they'll never be pissed off at each other down the road, but like so far things have just been kind of smooth sailing. And it doesn't but I also think too, like just because you don't fight, that doesn't mean like you have like something's wrong in your relationship.
Or you don't boast about the times where you had to like maybe adjust a little thing or what really goes on in your head.
Communication and compromise.
Yeah. And I also noticed a downside with modern love, modern dating, is our perception of time. I think people, and this is kind of well known, I'm not saying anything new, but people back in the day, wagon buggy people who would go across the country, you know, their expectations of time was like months. Like, oh, we'll be there soon, meaning we'll be there in a year. You know, like in past, time was, I mean, lives were shorter and journeys were longer and relationships were meant to last years and years. But now, I mean, given the example of coronavirus, and they're like, this thing's gonna be over. Like, when is this shit gonna be over? And it's only been like in the term of time, all the time that there's been in the entire world, it really hasn't been that long. But it feels like forever because our generation is so used to like getting a text. Like you didn't text me back in the hour. Or you like a lot of couples, and I've experienced it, like you become obsessed with them and the social media does not help. Like finding someone who doesn't have any social media and aren't posting, or like you wondering if they're cheating, or they change their profile picture, or you check their messages, and it's like it's like an instant, and it's like you don't know if that person that they're displaying online is a real person or not. Like, who is this person? It's like perceptions are all types of twisted in modern day dating and social media. And I think our construct of time is a lot different, and that's why marriages fail more often, because we expect pleasure in an instant, and we can get it in an instant. So why would we wait and talk to not Beth, I should use a different thing, Betty, for like, oh, I just want to sit with Betty on the porch for 20 years. Now it's like you have Sally coming down the street, and she's like, I'll have sex with you right now. It's like, what is he gonna do? I don't know. Takes a good man, we think. It's like, what do you want? I don't know. Life is.
I don't know, girl.
Love.
We didn't answer your first question of like how this topic came about.
Your question.
My question, yeah, but you posed it in this. Mm-hmm. Sorry, everyone. Just gotta stretch.
I hope everyone knows that when we say like we want to define love, we're not going to define it. It's impossible to define. We all know this, and we're just saying
everyone
you're happy with
can
someone,
define it for themselves.
Live your dream. Life is short. You will not survive this life. So just be happy and try to be as kind to yourself as you can. Forgive yourself. Life's crazy. Anyway, can you love someone who does not love you back?
Should we do that on part 2?
I think it's real hard to do.
Should we do that on part 2?
Yeah, okay, so that was part 1. What would we even call it? Talked about
defining love.
Okay.
Stay tuned for next week when we talk about love languages. Mm-hmm. And can you love somebody who doesn't love you back? All good questions.
See you next week.
And let us know in the comments, how do you define love? How do you know if you're in love with somebody, or if you love somebody, or if you think there's a difference or not? Whatever you feel about love, let us know.
It's a loving time. Lack of love. Lots of love. Merry Christmas.
Live, laugh, love.
Live, laugh, love. All right. See you next week.
All right.